back of Ingebrigtsen is going to do in the 1500. He has time to look behind him. 20 years of age, and he is on top of the world.
But coming down for a maiden national crown, Cornwall is the champion.
Garouge has run his race, or has he? Has he got anything left? El Garouge trying to get there. Kipchoge, the junior's there. El Garouge is trying to get to the line. Kenya wins it. Kipchoge takes
Vivian Chariot's turn. And what a proud moment for her and the Kenyans. The first woman from her nation to take the 5,000 metre title. Vivian Chariot's in Dreamland.
on the outside. Ollie Hoare of Australia comes. Jake Whiteman has just spent. It's going to be Chariot and Hoare. Who's going to get it? It's going to be Australia. The gold.
So, ladies and gentlemen, our guest today has had an incredible start to a 2022-2023 season, winning her first Open national title, the Women's 10,000 metre championships at the Zatopek 10 in December. And over the weekend, she's qualified for the 2023 World Cross Country Championships, placing second in the cross country trials for Rose Davies. The World Cross Country Championships will be held at Mount Panorama in Bathurst, New South Wales, on February 18th this year. She also won the largest fun run in the world in 2022, the Sea to Surf, as well as being an incredibly talented field in the Burnie 10 in Tasmania in October last year. With highly impressive personal bests of 9:06 for the 3K, 15:25 for the 5K, 31:43 for the 10K, and 71:47 for the half marathon, I'd like to welcome Leanne Pompeani.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Leanne, it's some CV and it's been built in quite incredibly, all those things I just mentioned, in the last 9 months. Did you think in July last year I'd be reading out those achievements?
July last year, it was there as a, hopeful, but nothing is certain. But I'm so glad that this is how it's been, my progress and how it's tracking, and that things are finally starting to click.
It was an amazing run yesterday. So I guess, well, firstly, a massive congratulations. You made your second senior team for Australia for the World Cross Country Championships. You ran in Aarhus in Denmark in 2019. It's quite extraordinary. It's been 4 years since the last one, for obvious reasons. You also made the team as a junior in 2015 at just 18. I didn't realise that, so I did a bit of research. We'll talk about the race on the weekend first. It was pretty early on that a breakaway pack of four. It was yourself, Holly Campbell, so from New South Wales, Caitlin Adams and Rose Davies, who did a lot of the work on the front. It seemed that you four sort of broke away fairly early on, and it was just a tussle for that first 6 or 7K. You want to just talk us through, I guess, the first half or first 2/3 of the race?
Yeah, it was. It's hard to know who was going to be there, and early on, I mean, so many names were being thrown into the mix. So I think it really could have been, from 1st to 10th place, it really could have been anyone. And the positions were sort of changing. Like like looking around, you had so many names still there, like Georgia Hansen, like Ellie Pashley was there, and different people took the lead at different times. So it was sort of second guessing yourself, thinking, are these ladies feeling, so much better than I am? I don't know, am I going to pop later? Are they going to pop later? I mean, that's just overthinking it during a race. But I think it was just, didn't feel too bad through 5K. And I think Rose was obviously thinking the same. And then I can't actually remember when she put in the little surge, but it just felt like a little bit too much effort for me to go with it. Once you put in the surge, I think the gap didn't really change between us, and even from myself to Caitlin once we sort of spread out. And now that I think back, maybe I should have just tried to go with her. And then if I did that, then we could have been closer for more of the race. But yeah, that's just how it went. It just felt like that little extra effort to close the gap was going to cook me. But but coming into second was, I'm happy with that.
It's interesting because there was 3 automatic spots. So Rose, yourself, and Caitlin are those automatic 3 spots. With Izzy Bat-Doyle, also from South Australia, Caitlin's teammate, Holly Campbell, and Ellie Pashley, as you mentioned, waiting for hopefully one of those discretionary spots for themselves, with Australia able to take 6 for both the Open and Open Men and Open Women's 10K. In that scenario where you're in the top 4, knowing that there's 3 automatic spots, is the mindset, particularly when Rose put in that burst around about the 7K mark, if I make top 3, I'm in? Or are you still thinking, no, I want to win this race?
It's a bit of both. I mean, some people sort of suggested to me that they're like, oh, you must have just been happy to come through second. And I thought, no, that was very tough. If I could have won, I would have, I think. But so yeah, it was a tough race, but definitely just top 3, secure that was the main goal. Yeah,
fantastic. And again, a big congratulations. Another Australian singlet is an extraordinary effort. You had an interview with Athletics Australia about a week before the race, really well written. They did a great job, and I think they gave you some very well-deserved limelight because I think that you have gone under the radar for a long time, at least at a national level. Do you think that the Zatopek 10 victory, the national 10,000 metre championships in December, really sort of got you sort of more on that back page of distance running in Australia?
I think so. Yeah, and like you're reading out my PBs earlier, and they're all due to be, rewritten. It's just going to be finding races now. So in terms of track racing, I've generally in the past been injured when it comes around to, track races. Obviously, there are a lot more opportunities to race on the roads. And I think Zatopek was the race that sort of really changed it. I think the races throughout the year, though, have sort of been leading up to sort of being noticed, if that sort of makes sense. Like I was really happy with City to Surf. I was really happy with Burnie. So I don't think it should have come as too much of a surprise, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess with that in mind as well, we've had the Tokyo Olympics when Australia was in lockdown. We just had some sensational results, particularly at the Commonwealth Games and the World Championships again. You think about the names: Jessica Hull, Lyndon Hall, Abby Cole, Stewie McSwain, Ollie Hoare, Peter Bowl. Like, it kind of feels like there has been a big emphasis on distance track running, maybe outside the road, up until Sinead and Brett both broke those Australian marathon records on the same day. Do you kind of feel that the roads, like, yes, Sea to Surf is a big deal, but maybe, aren't as much of a focus as the track?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. It's either, I mean, you have to make the teams. You want to be, you want to go to Commonwealth Games, you want to go to World Champs, you want to go to the Olympics. They're sort of the things that matter, unless it's like 10K road races. They're great, but they don't really mean as much as doing the marathon and, or competing in 10,000, 5,000 at the Olympics. So I think the next step would be making the team now for, 10,000 meters on the track, or, eventually as we're planning the marathon. But in terms of City to Surf, I think with something like that, it's more, for me, it was more looking at, look who's won it in the past, look at the times they've run, and the fact that I was up there, I was pretty proud of that. All the names like Susie Power, that has the record for City to Surf. So it's just sort of looking at who else has done those races on the roads and thinking, well, look what they've achieved. So yeah.
And it's exactly the same honour roll, or very close to, for the Burnie 10 as well. As you mentioned, Susie Power won it, Lisa Waitman's won it, Eloise Wellings has won it, Krishna Stanton has won it. Like, it's the who's who of Australian distance running in the women's category.
Yeah. And that's what makes me feel confident that if I'm doing these on the roads where, like, road racing is fun, I'd probably prefer it over track, but that's sort of not, I think the next step will be making the team on the track.
And so we'll skip forwards from world champs as well. World cross country champs. We'll come back to that in a big way.
Yeah.
And that is that the goal? The 5 or the 10,000, or you lean towards the 10,000 for the Budapest world champs in August?
I think, I'd go for either if, whatever sort of presents itself. But I think the 10,000 potentially I'll be a little bit stronger in. But yeah, both I really want to work on in the months coming up.
Just for people listening, those automatic qualifiers are pretty extraordinary. 14:57 for the 5,000 and 30:40 for the 10,000 meters. I don't believe the Australian record is miles under that. It might be 30:37. It's not.
I think so. I think it's only 3 seconds quicker.
That's for heart. So again, this gets talked about a lot as well. Half of the people who are making the team, or half the people going to the world champs, are actually achieving the times. The other half are getting through on points. And there is a big meet that Athletics Australia just announced, the Maury Plant meet, which has the 3,000 meters. I think there might be whispers of possibly something a little bit longer going on as well. In terms of those points races, they're going to be really critical for you, as well as the times. Are those events like the Maury Plant meet, and I think you mentioned in previous interviews going overseas to chase those qualifiers, is that sort of the goal after World Cross?
Yeah. Obviously, 30:40 is very tough. And you want to be ambitious, but I think if I'm going to be making it, it'll be chasing the points. It'll be finding the meets that I plan to run fast. And this is where, I'm fairly new to this scene of sort of slightly higher level of running. So, I'm taking all the assistance I can get from people that have been there and are willing to help out. So it'll be, I'm very interested in the Melbourne meet, the Maury Plant meet. Obviously it's not long after World Cross, but I think if you can do the race and just recover from between then and Melbourne, I should be okay. I mean, my 3K PB isn't anything outstanding, so I'd like to rewrite that. And it's there's a lot on the line for that meet.
With and in the Maury Plant meet, because it's got a lot of attention because of the Fred Curley and Ryan Browning matchup, which of course is a huge deal for I guess the average sports follower in Australia. You sort of know, that guy with the mullet who I saw at the Olympics win the race. But I guess outside that, from an athlete's perspective, what does that Continental Tour gold meet on home soil actually mean? The $200,000 prize pool, those gold tour points, and not having to chase them halfway across the world, at least this early in the season.
I mean, I don't know a lot how it works, but but I know being a gold standard meet, and for it to be so close to home, not having to travel. I know it's, like I said, it's not long after World Cross, but I think it's too big of an opportunity to pass up. So I think, anyone that can, and hopefully, the plan is that some athletes that are racing World Cross will hang around.
Yeah, I think that's the idea as well, particularly if something long does go on the program. Obviously, athletes going a 10K half marathons. So we'll watch this space. The exciting one. I just wanted to jump back, I guess, to how you started to get into running. And there was a really good article in the Canberra Times, which I found out that you're a very elite junior soccer player, or football player, whatever you decide to call it. And you were playing for Canberra FC, had hopes of playing in the W League. Do you want to just talk us through, I guess, that your career as a junior soccer player, but also that transition, what it looks like, how hard that decision was, and how your current coach, Des Proctor, played that decision making as well?
So football, soccer was my first sort of major sport. Started at 4 years old. Always sporty, like most runners were in a lot of sports. Did little athletics every summer, but that was more just a summer sport. And it's sort of, So Des was my high school PE teacher, and obviously I would do school cross country and do okay, just natural talent there. Des tried to convince me to come to his running group, but soccer was obviously my major sport, and I was really looking to play in the W League. I was started training a bit with Canberra United. I was with ACTAS, so ACT Academy of Sport for soccer, for a couple of years, and that's sort of what got me in the mindset of elite sport, because that's where I learnt to lift weights at the gym. In a more of an elite setting, and I think that's where I really realized that whatever sport I do, I want to do it at an elite level, because I like that, I don't know, discipline, I guess you could say. But yeah, and then as time went on, I can't really remember. I think I got a soccer-related injury. I think it might have been a hip labral tear or something, and soccer kind of, I had to take a bit of time off training for soccer. I was still always chucking into in the week just because I don't know, that's just what I did. And I think I made the ACT team when I was 18 for national cross in Albany. And Des was telling me, if you come at least train with me up until nationals, and after that, see if you want to stay. And during that period, I was, starting to skip soccer training sessions and go to running instead, and then can't really do both. And then just, the running took over, and I ended up coming second at that nationals. And then it was a big decision to leave soccer. I never thought I would leave soccer, but I did, and I'm glad I did.
It's quite extraordinary that you were playing two sports up until that age. It reminds me actually a lot of Benita Willis, who was an incredibly talented hockey player as well. I think she made the transition around about 19, 20 years old. So it's quite similar in terms of the story. You may end up having very similar careers as well. Did you feel like that really late transition, almost, or after school, meant that you kind of came into it fairly fresh? You mentioned you did a little bit of little athletics, but you came into the sport fresh after school.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so many ways to do it and make it to the top, but I think I do like the idea of just do whatever sports you want to do young, and many as you can, include little athletics. So I think, because obviously when you do athletics, you're doing throws, you're doing jumps, you're doing sprints, you're doing, and I do think, coming in late is one way that can work very well for athletes, because you see a lot that just get burnt out way too early before they even reach seniors. So yeah,
well said. Yeah, I like that. Des has 50 athletes in his squad, and I didn't know this. He's got 10-year-olds and 60-year-olds.
Yeah.
Tell me how a training session looks like.
It can get pretty chaotic, but yeah. So our group is a mix of people that are serious and people that are there for just social or health, just general fitness. A lot of them, do have goals though that they want to do, whether it's all schools or whether it's Canberra Marathon. It's Des will have his different sessions for he will change it up for your goals, but I mean, you can have one session and then just a variation. He'll set maybe 5 variations of the session, starting from me all the way down to, I don't know, we've got Riley McGowan that runs 800 meters. He was an Australian 800 meter finalist. So the sessions are there for everyone to do, but he'll just make a variation for everyone. So it's good. It's and I've got good training partners. I run with some younger guys, and yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And I guess it probably speaks to the flexibility of a successful coach, particularly a distance coach, where you've got people running laps and being able to have 5 groups in the same way. And you actually are starting to see a little bit more around Australia that recreational as well as the elite component working really well with each other. And it sounds like it works really well with Des's group as well.
Honestly, there aren't too many problems that come up with that, and also if I need to, like, it's not. I've become pretty good at doing sessions by myself if I need to. So yeah.
And your partner, Aaron, I think we mentioned it before, Aaron Spiceberger Parker, also one of the leading distance runners in the country. He trains with Dick Telford as part of Team Telford, also in Canberra. So you want to just talk us through, I guess, the dynamics between being together but training in two different groups, and then also what does a long run look like? Do you run with each other? Do you sort of just say, stay away from me, I've done my 30K long run? What does it look like both outside and at home?
Yeah, I mean, it's good having a partner that runs, because a lot of our easy runs are running together. So I can pretty much count on having company for most of the runs. And obviously he's happy to run my pace for easy runs. He's not a fast, easy jogger. So, so it's okay. We can, have a chat. I think having different coaches is probably a good thing. Although sometimes he'll probably agree with this, but I can compare myself a little bit to him. I'll be like, oh, you're doing more than me today. Maybe I should do more.
I'm sure Des would love to hear that.
I think Des knows as well that I do that. But no, it's good dynamics. And he's really supportive as well. You know, we'll generally, when there's races interstate, we'll try and do the same race if we can. So we're traveling together. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, fantastic. And the conversation around the Canberra running groups as well, like it's really weird how close ACT is to, I'm biased here in New South Wales, but we know very little about each other, even though it's just down the road. Do you feel like that in Canberra as well as New South Wales, this great big unknown, or have you got some really strong ties with some of the clubs and some of the squads in Sydney?
I think we do. I'd like to see a little bit more. I think it's hard because ACT obviously is so small. So when it comes to ACT events running as, ACT events, we don't really get that many. I think, a lot of people will agree. Sometimes the meets can be a little bit quiet. So I think I'd like a little bit more of a connection between, we are so close to New South Wales. So the more, and obviously a lot of my guys go up and do a lot of the Bankstown meets because it isn't far for us to travel. But I think that it's closing a bit now. We obviously know each other a lot. But I would like to see a little bit more of, I don't know, connection. Just because I'd like to race in ACT a bit more, but sometimes it's hard when there aren't many people in the race. It's hard to run fast when you're by yourself. So yeah.
It almost just seems like we need to get in our cars and drive 300K. Is that going to solve this problem? Do we need to, because you're right, there's a lot of Canberra athletes that do come up to New South Wales because that's where the competition is. But is there a handshake agreement here where New South Wales does go down more often?
Potentially. I mean, obviously I have no idea how it works and how hard it is to organize these things. But I think if we can get more people around, and maybe it could be up to athletes as well, talking to other athletes that we know, saying, hey, like, I want to run fast here. There's a Canberra meet on. If you come down, we can make it fast.
Sounds like a future combined milers.
Yeah, potentially.
Awesome. Maybe we will be able to contend with Vic milers in the future. Leanne, I do want to get to Bathurst because it's a insanely cool opportunity. I think it's the first World Athletics Series meet in Australia in 27 years. You weren't born. I was 2 years old. It's pretty extraordinary that we do have a world meet here, and probably not the first of its kind in the lead into Brisbane 2032 as well. So do you see this as almost like kicking off a world level, a decade of really fan-based focused athletics in this country?
I think so. I mean, I've tried to explain to people like at work that, world cross country being in Australia is a big deal. Sometimes it doesn't quite get across. I try and tell them that it might not be here for a while, if ever. So I think, we make the trip over to other countries, every 2 years. And for it to be in Australia, where we've seen some of the athletes, Ugandans, Ethiopians that have committed to coming. I mean, this is pretty big that they're going to be running in Australia too, and people can see it up close. Whereas, I don't know, unless you're going to make the trip overseas to see them race. And if you can do that, then you can come to Bathurst.
It's a great point. We've got, so I'm pretty sure, and if Instagram posts or anything to go by, and I know I've got in trouble for this before, saying, "Oh, sorry, on Instagram, so therefore it's gospel." But Tenzin Gide won the Ethiopian national trial. She says she's confirmed she's the 5 and 10,000 meter world record holder.
Mm-hmm.
Joshua Cheptegei, I believe, is confirmed 5,000, 10,000 meter men's world record holder, and Jeffrey Kamworor from Kenya, arguably one of the greatest ever half marathons, and has won the world cross country championships 3 times. So you've got 3 of, well, arguably the greatest ever. And I think they're trying very hard for Ingebrigtsen to confirm as well.
Yeah.
The darling of European, if not the world, distance running at the moment as well. So we do, like, the world is coming, and we're not talking about the world in terms of 68 countries, but we're talking about the very, very best in the world coming to Bathurst in literally a month's time.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I've seen those on Instagram too, so that's what I'm hoping they're true. But yeah, it's exciting, and I'm even now I'm going to be racing against them, so it's a little bit.
Sorry, we just lost you there for a second, Leanne. You were talking about Aarhus there in 2019?
Yes, yeah. Saying that Helen Obiri was, so 4 minutes ahead of me, I think. But
wow. Yep.
Yeah.
And you've got a couple of Australian jerseys for the World Cross Country under your belt, 2015. Do you want to just talk us through as well, like as an 18-year-old, I think 6 months into the sport, you found yourself in a World Cross Country championship race. I don't know if that's ever happened before in that tiny amount of time. Of course, you're a very, very accomplished soccer player. What was that like?
It was. I didn't really know anything about running. I didn't know what I was doing. So I did the trials here in Canberra. I came 6th in the trials there, I think. Made that team. It's all a bit of a blur, but I just didn't really know what I was doing. I just ran. And then we got to China, and I ended up coming through the first of the Australians. Still didn't really know what I was doing then. I think I started off very slow in that race, and then just overtook people as I went, and I just took it all in my stride, really. I didn't, It's
how I run cross country.
Yeah.
You then went to America for a bit after that. Is that right? So you probably got a little bit more cross country running under your belt in your sort of late teens, early 20s?
Yeah. I went to junior college in Iowa. I was only there for a year and a half. It wasn't really the right place for me at that time. Headspace probably wasn't where it should have been. I was freezing, so it's not the most exciting place to be a runner. But I think for me that was good, just to get, because I was still so new to running, just to get the experience of racing. Racing everything from them throwing me into a 4x400 to running junior college, do half marathons as well. So that's where I ran my first half marathon.
Wow, that's quite chasm, 400 to a half. When if you don't mind me asking, you mentioned your headspace wasn't there for college. Was that from I guess again coming fresh in the sport, the mileage? Was it the team mentality? Was it just the pressure that you were getting put under to get points? What was it in particular? This is one thing I actually haven't spoken about. So coming towards the end of my switchover period from soccer to running, I was going through depression and eating disorder. So it was still sort of, I was getting a lot better by the time I was at college, but obviously it takes a while for you to start feeling 100%.
So that was still sort of sitting there, and that's sort of where I was struggling a little bit still. So yeah, that was where my headspace wasn't really. There were a lot of things that just weren't working at the time, and at the time it just felt too much. But I think if I was to be there now, I'd be 100% all okay. But yeah.
Yeah, right. And were there people that you sort like, assistants, or you could bounce off in those times? And how'd you get back into sort of a better headspace from there and become the incredible runner that you are now?
I was pretty. I probably did it the wrong way. I kept it to myself a lot. Yep. But I think coming back and just training with Des, I came out of it. And I think actually running, it's sort of the opposite of what tends to happen, but running actually brought me out of the eating disorder and depression, because so they picked up on it in soccer, because at the level in soccer we were doing a lot of performance testing, and that's when they started picking up on what was going on in terms of my power was decreasing, my weight was going down, that kind of thing. And then when I started running, I actually realized, hey, you need energy to be able to train. So yeah, running was a blessing.
Thanks for sharing. That's a really good story. Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
No, that's okay.
Leanne, it's been fabulous talking to you. I guess in terms of the next sort of 4 weeks, there's one thing on your mind, and world champs will come, but it's a world championship race. You came 45th in Aarhus, running up a building 5 times. I don't know. Have you had a look at the course in Bathurst yet?
I know a little bit, and I've heard from others that have raced on it, but definitely will be looking into it more to get my training a little bit more in line with what's to come.
It's not Stromlo.
No. And so I've heard.
I guess, and whether people it's not a criticism, obviously. Stromlo, I think, is hands down probably the best cross-country course in Australia. Again, biased. Nowra is also very good from a standpoint. And, Mullaney Golf Course up in Queensland held a really good nationals a few years ago. But in terms of Bathurst and the world title course, it's 10K of incredibly tough terrain. What can you possibly do going from essentially golf fairway Stromlo, which and love so well, you train multiple times per week, to going to literally running up Mount Panorama?
I think it's just going to be the next. I mean, obviously we can get fitter and we can get more prepared, but it's still very close. So there's not, most of the fitness that we've got will be taking us through. I think it's just going to be, we might try and head up to, so Rory Hunter also made the Australian team. He came 4th, so we assume he's on the team.
I think the treasury spots are going to be announced, I've heard, Monday next week, so I don't think it's too far away. So he'll be preparing. He's Canberra based as well. So as Team Telford, Dick Telford's group and we're pretty close. Hopefully get up to Perisher for a little bit more altitude, just for a little bit of a boost. I think the heat is probably the biggest thing for us as well. I don't think anywhere in Australia has had too many hot days, but I think February will be pretty hot. So it'll be just trying to get used to the heat as much as possible without causing too much stress on the body with training as well. And then, in terms of hills, well, Canberra's pretty hilly, so we're just going to keep smashing the hills. Yeah, fantastic. Hills for breakfast, hills for lunch, hills for dinner.
Yeah, exactly.
Every runner's worst nightmare. Or maybe the trail runners love the hills. So, in terms of aspirations, 45th in Aarhus, top 20, top 10.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of, obviously time irrelevant, but any play scores that you want to say, I came X in the world?
Yeah, I think top 20. It's a good number. It's hard, but I think it's achievable. And we also know that there are points up for grabs as well. So if you place well at World Cross, then that can help boost rankings for 10,000 meters. So if that's also another incentive to try and run fast, then
I didn't actually know that. So that's actually really exciting. I imagine that in other countries, athletes who are also after those points.
Yeah. So the goal is top 20.
Fantastic. And Australia's chances. I mean, we talk about home world cross country championships, home ground advantage, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Very, very few of you have actually run it before. But in terms of, yes, you're here, you don't have to have the jet lag and settling into a country that you're unaware of. Do you think those little 1%ers mean that we might be able to sneak a team medal here in the Open, men's and women's? We are a genuine gold medal contender with Stewie and Ollie in the mixed relay with probably Abby Caldwell and Jessica Hull as well. Like, where do you think the chances overall are to actually say, yes, Australia wins a medal at a world championship?
Yeah, I mean, I think we are definitely in that relay. We're definitely putting, I mean, in all events, we're putting our best athletes forward. And I don't think I don't remember there being such an emphasis on the relay previously, but I think they can definitely win it. If they run to what they're capable of, they can win it. And in terms of, the Opens, we have proved that we can do pretty well. Even some of the years where you probably might consider that not the strongest team, like Aarhus, we placed 5th. Which is, I think, pretty good. So yeah, I definitely think that we can better 5th this time around.
It's exciting. I love the optimism, Leanne. I you and the rest of the Australians.
Hopefully everyone else does.
Thank you so much. How can we follow your journey leading up to Bathurst? I assume Instagram.
Instagram, yeah. I think my name's Leanne Pomp on Instagram.
I'm sure we'll put in the show notes. I don't know yet.
Yeah, Des posts a lot on Facebook and everything. So yeah.
Fantastic. And of course, at Athletics Australia and also at Athletics New South Wales, again, I'm biased here, but it is our home World Cross Country Champs. You're going to be hearing a lot from both of us in the lead-in. It's going to be all happening between February the 17th to Sunday the 19th of February in Bathurst, New South Wales. There are also plenty of fun runs, schools challenge, club relays. There's loads of fun run events. So it's really a come and run and then watch the world's best sort of event. You don't want to miss out on it. Leanne Pompeani, thank you so much for your time. It's been so good to chat to you, and all the best for the next few weeks. We can't wait to see you in Bathurst.
Thanks heaps. Thank you.